This pathetic, bedridden gamer was just another ugly loser chained to his screens, until he supermaned into the world of eternal nations and woke up as its fallen king. He coughed in air thick with raw magic, blinking away the haze like a man who'd nearly drowned. The isolated loser, once tethered to endless eternal nations grind sessions, found himself inexplicably whole and standing. That metallic sweet breeze wasn't a hospital ventilator. This was a new reality. Memories of leading his ruinous kingdom, Minogra, through nightmare difficulty. Every brutal conquest and whispered tactic flashed through his mind. A calm, familiar voice then cut through his daze. "You've awoken, my king." He spun around, eyes wild. Before him stood a figure carved from midnight, hair drifting like shadows, a two of gratitude, the fallen one of mud. The same entity he had summoned in-game, his loyal commander, now alive before him. The isolated loser felt his heart seize. This was no hallucination. Atu knelt, voice resonating with unholy devotion. "Yes, my king, you cleared the unprecedented nightmare difficulty. You are the legendary Iratakudo." The words hit him like a hammer. Every victory they had shared, every desperate retreat, every whispered confidence. Atu remembered it all. This being was more than code. She was memory incarnate, his right hand and second brain, a disgustingly efficient intelligence that had harbored genuine affection for him. Fumbling, he found his own voice. Is this heaven or some twisted game world? Atu shook her head, eyes gleaming. Neither. This realm feels more like Eternal Nations itself. The edges of her voice trembled with excitement. "Let us begin anew. Build our kingdom once more. Let us, my king." The hopeless waste of space stammered, but the fervor in Atu's tone sparked something in him. The thrill of strategy, the rush of conquest, it surged back. As the newcomer to this realm, he would reclaim his title. No longer the pathetic gamer, but a king reborn. He stood atop a mossy hill, Atu at his side. The great tree ceased stretching into shadowed horizons. "Let us withdraw, my king. Become recluses." The order was chillingly calm. This was how Minogra thrived. Hidden, lethal, unseen. Emergency production. Plaster. A guttural laugh bubbled up. "EW gross." It was necessary. The jabber of his own mind mocked him. The fallen one of mud, bringing ruin. He embraced it. With a swipe of mana, he shared his vision with Atu. 100 mana to spare, 20 used to establish their base. The rest hung like a fragile lifeline. No combat summons yet, no brute force. Just cunning. He scowled at the map, every pixel a potential threat. Atu's voice pulled him back. "Let us scout with long-legged Bugcoin, our glorious subordinate." Without hesitation, he nodded. Even in this twisted reality, his in-game tactics remained flawless. But doubt gnawed at him. An ugly bastard playing king. What could go wrong? Atu emerged from the forest canopy with a report. Thick woods for miles, no wildlife stirring. Perfect for ambushes, perfect for secrets. Yet the absolute silence was unnerving. In Eternal Nations, forests teemed with beasts to farm for resources. Here, nothing stirred. He murmured, there are dark elf settlements nearby. Neutral alignment, slight evil, preferable to outright hostility. Atu's nod was silent, respectful, but the king hesitated. Bordering another nation at this stage is a death sentence. He chewed on the edge of his lip. War was a last resort for barbarians. He would avoid it, at least until his kingdom stood unchallenged. Then came the distant echo, anguished shouts breaking through the hush. Two cries that sent shivers crawling up his spine. "Ayoa!" He and Atu exchanged a glance, hearts ticking like war drums. This was no scripted encounter. This was reality. It was time to act. They found them. Ragged dark elves, haunted eyes sunken with starvation. Survivors of the Mazarim clan, exiled from the central lands of Idragia, driven into the cursed forest of the Great Tree Sea. The air vibrated with sorrow. Atu's voice wavered as she relayed their tale. Hunting for food, chased by unknown hunters, starvation gnawing at bones. The king's heart constricted, a response foreign to his calculated nature. He knelt, summoning a modest cache of apples and pears with a flick of mana. The fruit shimmered into existence, succulent, sweet, life-giving. The dark elves' eyes widened in disbelief. He offered the bounty with quiet reverence. "Take it." Shock, then relief, washed over their faces. The oldest among them, Mortarlow, stepped forward, tears glistening like dew. "Thank you. Your generosity is..." His voice broke. In that moment, the disgusting face of the king softened. Mercy, a concept he'd only toyed with in simulations, felt real. But the echo of Atu's initial warning lingered. An evil being wouldn't give charity without a price. He raised a hand. "No price. The words trembled from his lips. He didn't know why he offered them. Guilt? Compassion? A desire to rewrite the hopeless loser he once was? Atu's eyes narrowed, whispering in his mind, this mercy could be a trap. He swallowed. I felt bad for you. The dark elves bowed, murmuring blessings. The forest's curse seemed to loosen its grip, if only for an instant. Word of the apple miracle spread like wildfire among the hiding elven clan. Mortarlow's trembling voice recounted the legend. Deep within the great tree, lay a sealed evil, the king of ruin, harbinger of apocalypse. The king listened, every hair on his arms standing on end. He had summoned the avatar of ruin in game. Atu had even hinted at that title. But here, night settled, and the campfire cast flickering shadows across the survivors' gaunt faces. The older elves cowered from legends. Children clutched their bellies, too weak to do more than stare. The monarch wrapped his cloak around his shoulders, staring into the flames. The exiled clan pleaded for shelter, for an alliance, for salvation. Every rational bone in his body screamed no. Minogra thrives in ruin, thrives in hidden dominance. But these are people in need, and something deep inside the pathetic Gamer King screamed yes. He inhaled sharply, casting a shadowy glance at Atu. Her eyes shimmered with conflicting loyalty, toward the king, toward the ruin she embodied. Atu, raise the wards. His voice was low, resolute. Protect this camp until dawn. She bowed, mana swirling around her gauntlet fists. The air crackled, warding off predators, sealing off prying eyes. They would remain hidden. They return to camp, bellies full, spirits lifted, but suspicion spreads like wildfire. Mortar, the elder, demands to know what was given in return. Nothing, Gia says. Liar. No evil king gives alms freely. But it's not a lie. He didn't offer anything. He just spoke. He just asked. And the king of ruin listened. That's what made it worse. This wasn't the calculated malevolence of a world conqueror. It was compassion from a being far beyond them. How can you respect someone like that? Ro asks. Because he gave to the starving, Gia snaps. Because we're alive. For once, logic loses to survival. Ro breaks. You did well. It's the first kind word Gia's heard in days. Back in the shadows, Tax slumps. He used mana. He shouldn't have. But he saw them. Those starving children, those desperate eyes. And he couldn't stop himself. Atu confronts him. What did you gain from that? Nothing. I just couldn't help it. And suddenly, the merciless servant looks betrayed. They're at odds. She's not angry. She's hurt. He notices. All right, I'll do anything you say. She flinches. Not because it's wrong, but because it's unfair. I need you, Atu. Those words rip her apart. I'm sorry. I questioned you. That was unworthy of a servant. And now they're closer than ever. Because while the world may burn and gods may fall, the king of ruin has something stronger than any army. A single, loyal heart. She teases him. You couldn't talk to the dark elves? I froze. That's just roleplay, she smiles. Maybe it is. Or maybe he's just socially broken. Either way, he's not alone anymore. And with her at his side, the world's about to remember the name they forgot the first time around. Iratact, king of ruin. Leggy Bug returns, antennae twitching, just as Tact begins to speak with the dark elves. They need more food to survive, yet they can't carry it all in one go. Tact glances at Atu, his war maiden, his second brain. He admits he's a walking disaster in face-to-face talks. Nervous and fumbling, he almost blurts out everything wrong with his plan. But Atu, that perfectly polished nightmare unit, offers to handle negotiations. She bows, voice smooth as poison. Leave diplomacy to her. He hesitates, wondering if he might regret surrendering the spotlight, but nods. He's counting on her. Enter Mortar Kaldam Mazarum, the dark elf delegation leader. Regal, ancient, skeptical. He bows stiffly, offering formal thanks for the food. Atu replies with that grand flourish no mortal diplomat could match, unveiling Tact's titles. Iratact, king of ruin. Mortar's brow twitches. He's never met a ruler like this. No flowery courtesies, no hidden demands, only blunt truth. He calls the king Ira, or Iratact if formality is needed. The air buzzes with discomfort. He's grateful, wary, and on the brink of collapsing under polite pressure. Mortar Kaldam dares to ask, how can we repay this debt? The ancient elf expects demands of blood, soul, tribute. Atu counters smoothly, no need for tribute. The tribe lacks resources to craft a gift worthy of their king. Better to part now, she says, so they leave unburdened. The mood shifts. Mortar's face drains. He senses that the king of ruin's generosity masks something. He tries to press for guarantees, but the offer to leave hangs like a blade. He stutters, caught between suspicion and hunger. In a quiet aside, Leggy Bug reports the negotiations are flimsy. Atu whispers to Tact that perhaps they should kill the lot, strip their heads, and mount them on pillars for deterrence. All business as usual. Tact shivers, shaking his head. He won't spill elf blood yet. But the thought flickers in Atu's eyes. Demonic efficiency, ruthless logic. He drags her back. Not now. Not until they know more. Even a merciful action from him might be twisted by these exiles. Atu adjusts Tact. Instead of unilateral charity, they'll accept a fair exchange. Tribute in return for food. Small, symbolic comfort from mortal pride. Mortar perks up, relief flooding his features. He bows again, voice trembling with gratitude. The old elf confesses he secretly feared being toyed with by evil spirits. Atu's dismissive sneer at that fear only strengthens his resolve to trust. Tact watches, heart pounding. Innocent trust from those starving souls unsettles him far more than any battle. Mortar Caldam finishes, ready to leave. Suddenly, Tact stands. He draws a faint line in the dirt, invisible but potent. Become citizens of Minogura. The crowd gasps. Citizenship means allegiance, identity, irrevocable change. Atu's voice rings out. Dark elves aren't born good or evil. Join their nation, and the world system will align them with evil, just as Tact decreed. Mortar swallows. This is no mere alliance. It's metamorphosis. Hearts pound. Should they step across that line? Lives as refugees or as razors at the king's side? The dark elves hesitate. Images flash. Empty camps, starving children, endless exile. Finally, one voice pierces the silence. An elder woman credits survival to Tact's kindness. A second, then a third, nodding heads of worn warriors. They cross the threshold. A hushed chant rises. We serve the King of Ruin. In that instant, something stirs in the air. Low, throbbing energy of moral alignment rewiring. Faces shift. The old suspicion melts into fierce loyalty. The tribe of exiles has transformed into citizens of destruction. Moments later, their eyes glaze. Empathy for their own children replaced by a thirst for power. Whispers of regret, pain, rage ricochet through their minds. But Atu hushes them. This is the joy of protection. A mad smile from Mortaro. The hunger in Gia's eyes cools into calculated ambition. No more victims. Now, they'll be hunters. Tact gazes at his new subjects, feelings of guilt and pride battling inside him. He's the King of Ruin, yet he's just a former loser who used his last mana to feed strangers. Days pass. Life within the great tree, sea, takes shape. Walls of bark and bone rise. Tact studies a battered map handed over by Mortaro. Two massive nations, Coria in the west, a human realm of pure light worship, and an elven land of nature's grace. Both are pledged to absolute good. Across the board, they're mortal enemies of Minogura. Spying on two superpowers? The difficulty is absurd, like setting nightmare difficulty on a realm already on nightmare. But there's a twist. The core population of Minogura, stupid humanoids, breed fast but lack research prowess. Enter the Dark Elves, sly, magical, quick learners. Their arrival could fill the nation's biggest weakness, intellectual production. Tact's lips curl. Coria and the Elven realm might be blind to his next move. Footsteps crackle through leaves. Gia, once the hunting warlord, strides forward flanked by Emul, his deputy. Emul bows stiffly, a scholar of foreign lands and myth. Gia grins, teeth sharp as blades. He reports on scouting. They map terrain, enemy positions, resource nodes. Emul adds whispers of ancient legends, teasers about hidden ruins, magical anomalies. Tact leans forward. This intelligence is priceless. Immediately, he announces roles. Mortaro to handle administration and magical research. Gia to command warriors. Emul to guide foreign affairs. A single nod binds them to duty. The new ministers burst with energy. Gia roars his oath. He'll slay all enemies, impale heads on spikes. Let the world tremble at Minogura's might. Even the trees shiver. But then Tact raises a hand. His voice is calm, impossibly so. The king desires peace. War is an ugly tool, to be used sparingly. Gia freezes. He thought this was a nation of endless slaughter. Atu glances at Tact, eyebrows raised. The King of Ruin, a pacifist? The contradiction sends shivers through the council. But Tact will bind them. First, grow strong, then conquer. Tact urges rest, but his ministers are workaholics. Council Hall bursts into chaos as everyone clamors to gather resources. He orders land development while preserving the forest. No wholesale clear-cutting. Mortaro suggests treehouses woven into living trunks. Emil demonstrates magical reinforcement techniques to encourage tree growth around structures. The forest hums with acceptance, its ancient magic bending to Iratak's command. In minutes, wooden scaffolds spiral skyward. Worm-eaten logs become sturdy pillars. Sap-rich bark transforms into fortified walls. The first true city of Minogura takes root without killing a single tree. Mortar Row explains replanting, the art of sowing new saplings where old trees fell. Tax innovations speed growth by centuries with a flick of mana. The Council marvels. The idea that every resource harvested could be replenished casts a new light on war. You don't destroy, you harvest responsibly. Visiting Korea or the Elf Realm would hear only tales of armies ravaging lands. Here, in Minogura, even war can be sustainable. Then someone asks about advanced magic. 6 elemental principles, military spells, fortress magic. Mortar smiles sheepishly. They only know 4 elements. Their magical science lags behind Origin nations. But Tact only grins wider, a blank slate to experiment on. He promises breakthroughs that will leave other realms scrambling to catch up. The Council's eyes burn with anticipation. A hush falls. Emil plucks a purple grape from a vine growing in the city square. She bites, eyes widening. "The king made this too," she whispers. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. The grapes and apples from their first encounter weren't incidental. They were crafted by emergency production, a forbidden technique that can conjure any object at massive mana cost. Tact explains he could create gunpowder, metals, even crude oil if he dared. The raw power hums in the air, a promise of weapons and wonders. Atu tilts her head, half amused, half worried. This power is overkill. Yet she knows it's the keystone of their future. A new fear strikes Tact. The power to conjure anything means a blind spot. If he can make guns, why stop there? Necromancy? Time magic? He reassures himself. He's in control. But the weight of that power presses on his soul. He's not the same fragile shell that woke here days ago. He's a god among saplings. The citizens look to him with awe and terror. And now he can't hide his face from their yearning eyes. Atu senses his conflict. She steps close, voice low. "It's all right, my king." Her dark eyes are mirrors of his soul, pride and doubt, anguish and ambition. He nods, resolve hardening. A kingdom isn't built on mercy alone. It needs vision, ruthlessness, a touch of ruin. He raises his hand, feeling the mana surge. No more crumbs from the sky. He will craft the future with his own blood and sweat. And if the world shatters under his rule, so be it. The wind whispers through the newly planted saplings. The sound echoes with the promise of a nation unlike any other. In the half-light of dusk, Atu stands beside Tact, the ugly bastard who supermaned his way to supremacy. The hopeless waste of space has found purpose. The King of Ruin watches over a city born of mercy, magic, and madness. And somewhere in the distance, the drums of war softly begin to beat.